The Royal Flush, 1, written by the young author iDolly Belle Marie, more commonly known as Tajani Wallace. Audio created by Speechify. Narrated by Nara. So he wants to give me a job too? And move us both to Vegas? You can't be serious. Landon scoffed, sitting across from me in our living room. I had given him the rundown, and he was 10 times more skeptical about it all than I was. Yes, he does, I confirmed, which only made him let out another tired sigh. It would be his third of the day. What did Raven have to say? Why does it matter? You should already know that she encouraged me to take it. It is Raven we are talking about. I grimace and he nods in agreement. Well, you haven't told me how you feel about it all. He wasn't lying. I told him the story and backed away so he could say whatever was on his mind. I do not know how I feel, honestly. It's like Jersey is the only thing that keeps me close to him. How could I just up and leave? Jersey is the only thing that keeps him close because when he was here, he really was not. Landon huffed, before leaning against the couch's back with his arms crossed. He referred to the job my father had, where he would travel in and out of Jersey throughout the year to handle business. We were too young to know or care about his place of work, and I was far too old to go around and ask about details regarding it, so I let it lie. But Landon, on the other hand, he would not believe it for a second. He questioned everything about my father, in similar ways that I did, except he said it out loud. It happened to be the only thing that could take him out of his usually calm demeanor. Landon, do not start with that. You know what I mean. I warn, but he does not stop there. No, I will not stop, because if Raven was convincing you to take the offer, then she is right. We have no real connections to this place. You are only convincing yourself of that. It's time that we let go. His words hit me like a clap of thunder, and I gulped down the saliva in my mouth that rose rapidly. Stop holding yourself back, Nara. You know what? Fine, I blurred out, growing tired of myself and my constant need to overthink little things. Let's do it. Let's move to Vegas, I added, and a small grin found its way to his face. All right then, but first, I raised a brow, curious to hear what he would say next. We have to talk to Mom. Shit. Here is the text to convert. I had not had a real conversation with my mother since Christmas 3 years back. That night ended in an argument, 3 shattered glasses, and a severed relationship between my mother and I. At that time, I was coming home for my winter break in freshman year, and we had barely talked before that. It was like she shipped me off to college and barely communicated with me after. Like she could not wait to get me away. Then she saw me at the dinner and accused me of being ungrateful for everything she did while she was going through unspeakable pain, as if the pain she caused me while doing so didn't matter. As if she didn't continuously hurt the people still living while grieving the dead. After that, I stopped trying to be her daughter or to get her to start acting like a mother again, so when my graduation rolled around 3 years later, I did not bother extending out an invitation, and she did not bother showing her face. But as I rode in the passenger seat of Landon's car, on the way to our old family house, some part of me wished that she would drop the stubborn act and apologize. That she would try to mend her relationship with her kids. That she would not resent us because we remind her of him so much. I must have been knee-deep into my thoughts, because by the time I blinked away the memories of our collapse, the car had come to a halt, and the house that I had not seen since I could remember. I stepped out of the car, getting a better look at the red brick house and its aged white windows. I saw a few of the lights on and turned to Landon for some support, but he gestured me out of the door. What the hell? You're not going to come in with me? I wasn't planning on it. He shrugged and slammed a hand on his dashboard, causing him to flinch a little. You are coming to Vegas with me. You should be there too, I yelled, and he placed a hand on my shoulder to calm me. All right, I will go. He stepped out of the car and walked around, following behind me as I walked up the small steps to the front door. I began to knock, but a force in my body stopped me. Ugh, move out of the way, Landon urged, stepping in front of me and knocking on the door hard. I slapped his shoulder, and he ignored me as if I did not hit him at all. Seconds later, my mother swung open the door, and the blood practically sprinted to her cheeks when she saw us. She looked the same. Wrinkled brown skin that was more prominent around her eyes and neck now, deep brown eyes that were the opposite of my own since I took in my father's hazel irises. A slender face, similar to Landon's, and always wearing some form of a sweater, whether it is a crew neck or cashmere. She looked at Landon blankly, but when her eyes reached my face, she gave me an expression I could not read. But it had to be negative from the way her nose scrunched. "What are you two doing here?" "No, hello? How are you? We want to talk to you about something important." Landon revealed, and she blinked a few times, shifting her posture. "And it couldn't be done over the phone?" she asked with a monotone that only made me grow more annoyed by the second. "Can you stop being yourself for 30 minutes and listen?" She pressed her lips together, showing signs of restraint from saying what she really felt. After a few more seconds, she shifted to the side of the door and allowed us in. The living room and open kitchen felt like a weird shrine of what my life used to be. She hadn't altered any of the decoration, besides adding a few plants in the corner and switching out the curtains. But besides that, it was all weirdly the same. The almost linen color of the walls that chipped away more and more each year. The aged red couch that my mother made sure we never played on too much. The furry rug, well, it used to be furry, now the material was old and wrinkly looking. The stained wood of the kitchen cabinets, the towels that we used to use all the time. And I thought that I was strung up on him. She was even worse, and she would never say why. We sat down on the couch, and for the first few minutes it was complete silence. Her eyes wandered all around the room, avoiding ours at all times, and I could not believe it. Even after all this time, there wasn't a single part of her that wanted to mend things? That wanted to make it better, instead of being stubborn and spiteful? Landon finally cleared his throat and sat up on the couch. Nara was given an opportunity at work to move to a new location in Vegas, and he is getting us both jobs, so we are taking it. We do not really give a damn about your feelings, we just thought you should know that your children are leaving, he explained, and her eyes slowly widened until we saw her full irises. She stood from the couch, taking an anxious step closer to us. "What? Vegas? Why Vegas?" Her voice went from tired and annoyed to concerned and worried in less than a millisecond, and it sent me over the edge. "Oh, now you are concerned?" I asked, joining her on her feet and taking a step closer of my own. "What job? With who?" ? She asked. "My boss, Gianni Goldovo," I responded, throwing my hands up and hitting the sides of my hip, and her face twisted in something I couldn't put my finger on. Like she was scared, like she anticipated something bad would happen if we went to Vegas. In any other scenario, I would trust a person like her. Anyone would, hell, it is my mother. But with the way she has treated me since his death, there is not anything she could say that I would take into consideration. Not anymore and never again. What the hell is wrong with you? You look like you've seen a ghost. I snap at her, and she jumps back at my sudden burst of anger. "You can't go to Vegas, I won't allow it," she warned, and I scoffed in her face, causing her to drop her look of worry and replace it with sternness. "You know, something in me really hoped that you were changed," I began, and she shook her head rapidly. No, you have to listen," she said, trying to calm me, but at this point I was angry. God, to think she would be any different than before. Still the same dismissive, controlling, push-off mother that cannot even wish her children well before they leave. I really thought that I would come here and hear you say something like, "I am sorry," but no, you never do. I am glad that I'm leaving, because I'm never coming back to see you. She tries to call after me, but at this point I was over her and the conversation. I was willing to give her one last chance to step up and support me in something for once. And her first words are that she does not give her blessing. Without knowing the story behind it, I was done fighting. Here is the text to convert. I did not really expect to be the priority in a chief executive officer's life, but with the speed and elegance that they handled all of our assets and accounts to move, you would think that we were. We situated everything that would happen in Vegas and transferred all of our account and personal things over in less than 2 weeks, which seems to spook not only me, but Landon too. "God, how did he even get everything done this fast?" he asked while taping down the last box in our living room and pushing it aside for the mover to take downstairs. Gianni got an entire staff of private movers to handle everything, as well as take it down to Nevada. Raven was there too, and on the outside she seemed supportive of my decision. And I knew that she genuinely was, but I knew her better than that. It still saddened her, no matter how much she pretended that it did not. I saw her standing in the now empty kitchen, looking out of the small window sitting above the stove. "Hey," I said, catching her attention and making her head snap the other way. "What's up?" she asked with a smile, and she slid her hands in her jacket pockets. I did not say anything more, and I only pulled her into a hug. As soon as I did, her head dipped into the crook of my neck, and her arms wrapped around me tight. The only thing that came close to how much leaving my father's memories behind would hurt was her. She had been here for me before I could be there for myself, and I would want nothing more than to bring her with me. She pulled away, and a tear rolled down her face as she looked at me. "God, I'm going to miss you," she said lowly, her voice cracking as the sentence went on, and it broke my heart. "I will miss you too, always." Thank you for listening to the first book of the Royal Flush Saga, written by iDolly Belle Marie. For more, follow IDBM Writes on Instagram.